Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 347, and never before able to use an icebreaker, cherry limeade. I got Hannah McBeth next to me. We're here.
Hi, everyone.
This ain't the Party podcast. What's going on?
This is a party. What's up, everyone? What up, party people? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Hannah McBeth, joined by Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. That's how you do it.
Oh, okay. And Johnny B?
This is his first time wearing AirPods.
It is. It feels very uncomfortable.
No, you look so good. You look so trendy.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, everyone, yes, of course, podcast 347 tonight. If you haven't figured it out, it's Hannah McBeth and myself coming to you guys from our remote studio that's at the Dynamic Disc Open. Of course, Johnny B back in the Milwaukee studio. Last night, we got caught up with doing some testing to make sure everything was good to go. That carried past the 9 o'clock hour, and then next thing you know, it was 10 o'clock, and, well, the podcast got pushed back to right now. So I guess we have a very special on-site guest in Hannah McBeth.
He just grabbed me in the parking lot.
Well,
That's
yeah.
creepy.
No, I was just gonna say, careful with your wording, please. It's dark out. We don't need, yeah.
Paul!
So, yeah, actually not too long ago, and this is a really unique situation. We just got done commentating and covering day one here at the Dynamic Disc Open. And Hannah, pretty crazy day overall. Obviously not just with the FPO, which we'll get to, but MPO and everything else. Give everyone a quick recap of what went down today.
Yeah. So it's Kansas and it's spring. So that means that it's storm season, or as Madison Walker would lovingly say, storm season. So we had one today, and it was a lot. I mean, the open division almost escaped it, but then the women came in and they got like all of the lightning and all of the thunder and the heavy rain and everything, and then they had to take a long break. So that was interesting. It never happened to me before. Being in the booth and having like a long lightning delay like that and not really knowing what to expect or what is going to happen. And then coming back, it got too dark, and then everyone the PDJ had to call it at like 8 o'clock, I think.
A little after, yep.
Yeah, so they rescheduled the rest of their round to finish in the morning. I really regret eating this icebreaker thing. I don't know why I did that to myself. Because I just realized that at the beginning of the podcast, it's not everybody watches. Like, people are listening and they're like, why is she so weird? And it's because I'm trying to like...
You think it's the icebreaker?
Well, in this moment. But yeah, it was crazy because they sent everyone home. And we have seen that before. It happened in Jonesboro last year with the men, or the year before that with the men. And I had that on our vlog, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Paul. But yeah, it's a lot. But I think it's sort of to be expected. I mean, for this tournament being the week that it is, and with the scheduling, isn't that where they have it be 4 days anyways and start on Wednesday?
I think that was a consideration after a few years ago when this event was halted and it was ultimately called early. And then I think they just started talking about, well, with the weather conditions that could present themselves, do we want to almost have a buffer of a sort to have it 4 days? It wasn't always 4 days, I don't believe.
Yeah.
So the idea that it's 4 days, and I don't know if they're always just going to have a contingency of, well, hey, 1 day may get canceled, but I'll say for the age-protected divisions, which I know, of course, we didn't talk about on Disc Golf Network, or we don't cover, so to speak.
Oh, that's right.
A lot of age-protected divisions were just flat out canceled their round today. I know at least, and I should say MP40 and MP50. Those are the ones I specifically talked to Steve Rico and Jared Dog, so I knew that specifically, and I'm guessing there's other ones depending on which pool they were in and what courses they were playing.
Yeah, it was weird anyways, because the tournament started on Wednesday, and it's one of really the only ones to do that during the season. But so many women, like Missy Gannon, Haley King, Heather Young, they were coming out of like those big A tiers that happened over the weekend, whether in Kentucky, I know we saw Jessica Weiss at Bowling Green, and then also in Missouri at the Mid-America Open. So they already were like feeling out of sorts and out of their element as far as practice goes, having to choose which course they're going to set more value and spend more time at. And then now this happens. So it's like, It's just weird. It's been strange. I'll say that. It's really awesome here in Emporia. I'm glad that we're here, but been putting everyone out of their comfort zone in some way.
So Johnny, I'll ask you. Of course, we had our
experiences.
Johnny's here. We had our experiences here in the booth today. We had Ian and Philo who were calling MPO along with Big Germ, and then as their round concluded, Hannah and I stepped in along with Germ to do the FPO. But from a production side, in the studio, you, Mo, Chuck, Gary to the O, what were some of the things that were taking place over in Milwaukee?
It was kind of miserable, honestly. So just the day, these rain delays make everything go so much later, and you suddenly run into about a half hour worth of, at minimum, a half hour of time that you don't know how to fill. And to have it kick off right as the right as the broadcast was starting, made it very difficult, because our new policy, as we saw during the women's, if there's a delay, we'll just go back and start playing the old footage from earlier in the day,
yeah,
previously
I love that.
recorded, and and it works out really, really well. But
unless you can't read or comprehend, but go on.
Well, yeah.
So some people were totally lost by what was happening, but go on.
Oh, were they? Oh, but
yes.
But you do that after you literally have like 5 drives thrown, or 4 drives and an approach thrown, that there's nothing to go to. I mean, how do you fill a half hour worth of time? So we pulled up the 2019, I think it was 2019. Yeah, or maybe it was the 2020 DDO, or 2019, something like that. We pulled up another DDO, started streaming it, so we were able to fill some time, which obviously isn't ideal, but, it's a panic. And, I mean, it's a really strange setup. I mean, last week everybody was together. We were all here in the booth in Milwaukee. We tore that whole booth down. We brought it all over to Emporia, built it back up, which is actually where you're sitting right now. I don't know. I didn't love today. Like, I think it went okay, but yeah.
I thought all of the coverage I thought looked so good. Like, I thought all of the graphics looked really good, and I thought all of the cameras were coming in really clear. And when they were struggling, like, just for a second, you switched out of them right away. And I felt like the quality was really good. So that's nice, because during the rain, I mean, that's tough for everyone to be in position, for all the communication to happen.
Yeah, and I'll follow that up and say, we said during the broadcast, we'll say it again, the cameramen are the real heroes out there today, mm-hmm. them along with the event staff. Some people got here as early as 6 or 6:30 in the morning and were there until 8 o'clock at night. And our cameramen had to hustle all around. Not only are they trying to stay warm and dry themselves, but they're protecting tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and little to no breaks or goofy breaks for them. So just a huge shout out to everyone on the crew for just hustling around all day long, and they looked miserable and 100% understandable.
Yeah,
we kept going to shots of Calvin, and that guy just, I mean, he's so big and tall, and his hair just has like this look, and then he's soaking wet. He looked miserable, honestly, and it's not like Calvin ever looks really happy, but
yeah, he looks the same.
Yeah, but he did not look like he was having a great time, and I honestly, I barely looked at the scores. I'm telling a lot of people on the board are saying it was a really good production. It very well could have been. It just didn't feel that way to me, and a lot of people said that it was very good. So I'm thank you very much, everyone out there saying that. But yeah, and we're our own worst critics, as everybody knows. So when things don't go perfect, everybody hears about it. So.
All right. Well, with that, since you didn't look at scores, why don't we update you? Let's just talk about a few things. Tonight's show overall is probably going to be a little bit short, but we should recap what we saw today. Big advantage to us coming in after day 1 of the event, as opposed to just coming in last night on a normal Tuesday night. Dare I ask, is there anything that surprises you, Hannah, in what we see in the top, either the top card or the top 10? And why don't we start by reading off who are our top 4 players for tomorrow?
Eagle McMahon, Calvin Heimberg, Ben Calloway, and Chris Dickerson are in the top. And surprisingly, no, but worth noting is that whoever got their rounds in earlier had the advantage. I think there was a lot of hot scores coming in. I know, like, Ben Calloway has been was in the clubhouse for a long time and then stayed up on the lead card shooting that hot 13 under today. And same thing with Adam Hammis. Justin Rozak came in with 11 down. He was in second for a long time. And then, not surprising due to the weather, but still a huge advantage. I think a lot of the guys kind of complain here and there about the difference. Like, is it fair to tee off so early and then someone's experiencing completely different conditions later on in the day and you're in the same division? Like, how is that fair? And this is one of those things where if you got an early tee time, you were like upset. And then when you showed up, you were super psyched because you had all the opportunity in the world to make moves.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. But at the end of the day, the cream still rose to the top. I mean, we have Eagle McMahon, Calvin Heimberg, Chris Dickerson. Those were 3 of your later tee times, and they're 3 out of the top 4 scores.
Yeah.
And Callaway, like you said, much earlier, as was Andrew Presnell. But 3 out of the top 4 still teed off and played through those conditions, and maybe that speaks to I don't know, their grit and determination out there.
There's a lot of discraft over there.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, it's
are you plugging? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't charge for those yet.
You know what? It's fine.
She'll get the invoice.
Adam Hammis, as you mentioned, tying for 7th right now. We got Drew Gibson, Gavin Rathbun, and Justin Rozak. And then in a huge tie for 10th, holy cow, we've got Paul Ulibarri, Paul McBeth, Colton Montgomery, Ricky Wysocki, Anthony Barella, Zachariah Johnson, Gannon Burr, and Andrew Marweed. I was going to quit halfway through. All right, so there's an 8-way tie for 10. So, of course, very competitive at that 10 under. And, a lot of your regular contenders, almost every one of those names you certainly recognize or you already know. I look at like a Gannon Burr and a Paul Ulibarri out of those, along with Eagle even, all started out rough with a bogey on hole 1 and then immediately turned things around and then lit things up.
That middle of the course is just blue as blue can be.
Yeah.
I mean, the men's game or the open divisions games, basically the men's, is it's so interesting because it really is birdie or die. Like, birdie is the good score. And a lot of the time when you're taking a par, it feels like you're taking a bogey because you're letting so many people pass you. I mean, you go par and, don't follow it up with anything good, and you're Colton Montgomery timed for 10th. Like, he put in a great score today, but he's still, has to pass all of these other people. The field is so tight.
Yeah, and also certainly we have to mention that Ricky Wysocki, we had heard that he had traveled away yesterday. We know that he is spending some time in Kansas City, and then he ultimately went back to Savannah, Georgia, I believe is where he was for a day or so, and working through family health and challenges. And then it was announced this morning via the GoFundMe that was set up for his sister, which I'm sure will still be put to the best possible use. But Ricky Wysocki's sister had passed away this morning, complications due to a brain tumor. The fact that he's here to play and that he has any form of focus or resilience to be able to, deal with all of his emotions is certainly incredible. And of course, thoughts and love and prayer to the entire very large Wysocki family. And, Hannah, you and I had known this news just before really tee off here today. And it seems as if, everyone obviously deals with pain and grief a little bit differently, but Ricky being on a disc golf course we're like his family as well, in a sense. I guess I feel like it's not fair for anyone to second guess, as I'm sure some might, and say, well, what is he doing here? Why is he playing disc golf with such a tragedy? And I feel like I don't care who you are, however you need to deal with that pain or grief or tragedy, that's on your own.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, you nailed it. I think everyone has their own way of coping. And I think it shocked me. I didn't even know that he was here because I follow some of his family members on Instagram. So I found out the news when they posted it on there, and I didn't realize that he had come back. So when I saw him, I was one of those people that was like, why is he here? But I get it. Like, disc golf is interesting. it's such a young sport, but it's so consuming of everything in your life. And these people that are at the top, like Rick is at the top and he's obsessed with it, but it's also an escape. It's also a way for you to cope. It's a way for you to just feel normal, and not to pretend like I know him like that, but it's very understandable when you just take a step back. Like, I think the people who are questioning it are just questioning it and passing, and they don't really care.
Yeah.
Like they're not. Yeah.
Well, of course, again, we just can't say enough. We hope Ricky and his entire family, who we've seen at the World Championships, we've seen at big events, with all the love and support that have come along with him being out on the course, and then the entire Frisbee family should be all embracing and throwing it right back at the family right now.
Yeah.
As they deal with it. So, Johnny, we know that when you're pressing all the buttons and you're making everything work over there, you're not processing what's happening on screen. It's almost kind of like white background noise to you to some degree. But were there any yelling moments where somebody said, "Hey, call for that replay," or do you believe that? Positive yelling moments where somebody was, something that you guys had to make sure you either captured or replayed?
There really wasn't. I don't believe on that we saw. There were no really big, amazing replays. And a part of that obviously is due to the weather. I mean, we had so many players that just sat. And then it felt like one fail swoop came from under the tent onto the tee pad and through so quickly that it was hard to time for us. But I mean, there was, just a couple decent sized putts, but really nothing spectacular today. It was a game of survival out there. I really felt like that's how most of the round went, because if even after the rain stopped for the men, the course was in, and no offense to everyone who's running this course, the course was in horrible condition for playing. Like, it's wet, it's sloppy. There are new rivers in
definitely.
Emporia. I mean, it makes it very tough to really get your bearings and play the way you practiced. That is the big tough part, is most of these people go in with a game plan. Hannah knows this as well as anybody, because not only is she a player, but you talk with a lot of players. Some of them have every shot. We know KJ Nybo has them all written out, like disc to shot and this like that. Ian Anderson calls, gets all these players to tell them what discs they're throwing and this and that, and all that goes out the window. Like, just 100%, you're playing to just, well, some people are just playing to get par, but as we can tell, there's a few people like Eagle, Calvin, Ben, and Chris Dickerson that were playing to get birdies. It really messes with, again, I can only see it from my perspective and the way I've played as a normal disc golfer and not one of these elite level players, but it's really tough, honestly, and a lot of it is survival.
Well, and normally when we talk about weather conditions, you're frequently saying, well, I played when it was hot and then it got colder. I played when it was windy or not windy. To go out and then not have the rain, I mean, it's tough to practice rain conditions. Those are things that you can manufacture, so to speak, in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then so when the rain and then extra standing water comes onto the course, those are all things you kind of just have to deal with in the moment, or maybe rely on some previous years when it was windy or rainy here.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Everyone goes through that first touring round in the rain, and then you learn from it. And then it's less of it just takes you by less of a surprise. I think, was that a sentence? Mine was Oregon at the Beaver State Fling. Thanks, Terry. And it poured rain. It was miserable. And I remember I was on Innova at the time, and it was DX or die out there because my putters were the only thing that I could grip because they were DX plastic. And tip, like pro base level plastic, is really good when it's wet because it's very grippy. And those discs don't last very long, but they fly. Oh, yeah. So I remember the first time, and I was miserable, and I was so just frustrated, and nothing was working. And then the next time it happened, you're way more prepared, and you're just way more calm.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, everyone has to go through it. If you go through your first rain round on tour and it's unreal, I don't know. This is crazy.
Well, speaking of rain rounds, I don't know if this is fully breaking news to everyone else. Maybe you've already seen it, but I'm seeing it for the first time in an official capacity. According to udisclive.com, where of course you should be following everything, it says play has concluded for today. That much I knew. 6 FPO groups didn't complete their rounds due to darkness after 2 weather delays. The remaining FPO groups will finish at 8:30 Central and will play round 2 on Thursday afternoon. So 6 of the groups hadn't completed. They will go out, whether they were in the middle of a particular hole, or in our case, we saw that our feature card had not teed off yet on 14 or 15, one of the two.
14.
Yeah, they hadn't teed yet off on 14.
Right.
And so they will all then go to where they were starting at 8:30, and they will complete their round.
Yeah.
Terry, is there any worry about them teeing at 8:30? I mean, because today the men teed off at 7 a.m. and so you're running into an hour and a half where, and I know the women are on the opposite side of the course, but that's an hour and a half from T1 to what, T13?
No. So, okay, Johnny, I will give you credit. You are thinking along the same lines of Mr. McBeth, who had walked in here just before the podcast, and he said, if they're teeing at 8:30, is there a chance the first card, which is a threesome, could potentially catch them before they get off the course? Here's what I say to that. If that somehow happened, it would have to be in like the middle of 18 or the middle of 17 or on hole 18. If by some crazy chance, and if they did, they'd wait 3 minutes. They just got done playing a super quick round.
Yeah, something that you need to say.
Just think, they're starting. The women are starting on hole 14 at 8:30.
Okay, it's hole 14. All right, I was thinking it was 13, which, and an hour and a half to get through 13 rounds when you're the first threesome isn't outrageous. So if you had if the, let's just say the lead card was on 13, it hits to be 8:30. You know, what if the men are surprisingly on 14? Do the women just kind of squeeze in behind them? And I'm sure we'd find a way to make it work, but.
All right, hold on, Johnny. I'm hearing from the peanut gallery, the 5-time peanut gallery over here. He was suggesting 8 a.m. What are you saying?
I said, my thought is that the threesome gets the whole 14 before 8:30. That's what cause it.
The McBeth family is concerned that the threesome gets to hole 14 before the shotgun start.
Yeah,
that is the official statement of the McBeth family. Thank you.
Okay,
that was the official statement of the Van Derzen side as well.
Ah.
I don't. I mean, how many shots did those 3 gentlemen throw today?
I was going to say, today is different than what tomorrow will be, because tomorrow will be
Don't put them on blast.
Tomorrow is going to be your not so hot players. So they might be now. That might mean they play quicker. That they have less of a routine possibly, and they're just up and throwing and they're having fun. So maybe they move through faster, or maybe they're throwing more shots and they're not going to get there quite as quick.
I mean, I saw through how one of the gentlemen played hole. Well, that's 14. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
not super concerned.
I'm not worried about it.
But
if that threesome gets there before 8:30, dumb or not, I think they should be held so that the women can then proceed forward and then play out their round. And if that means they're held up on those holes, then so be it. But
I think
I understand the concern. Yeah. Paul McBeth would love to see it pushed up another half hour. But
that's exactly what I was going to say. Great minds think alike.
All right. Well, so we'll see what.
I feel bad for the audio listeners, because there's just random blank spaces of blank audio where Paul's talking to us, but because we're wearing headphones, you can't hear him. And then we're just making faces at Johnny V.
No, you can hear him. You can hear him a little bit in the background. If I can hear him, that means everybody can hear him, and it'll be all right. You know, Paul hasn't been on the show in a while. I mean,
listeners, usually I am one. So.
Well, yeah, you watch it and then you download it and listen to it again. That's okay.
All right, she dubs it on her VHS.
Yes, let's move on to the FPO division, which is where I was going to segue over to. As of right now, pretty impressive. We saw her battle the conditions. Katrina Allen, bogey free, playing pretty solid golf and sits at 4 under. Haley King at 2 under. Jennifer Allen at even, and Macy Walker, who started out with a double bogey, has as many birdies, if not more, than any other woman in the field. She currently has 5 birdies right now. The only woman to have more than that is Kat Murch, who is also in the clubhouse with an even. So Kat Murch had 7 birdies, where Macy Walker had 5. So the birdies are out there.
Oh yeah, I love it. The women really aren't playing that many tees. They're not really playing that many forward tees or different pin positions. I don't know off the top of my head what holes are different than the open division and not. But I think being able to have those birdie opportunities is awesome, because a lot of the time for women, par is the best score. Like Jennifer Allen is like at even for the round and she's in 3rd. So, and she's tied for 3rd with 2 other women, but she's in 3rd. So I think that in and of itself, I mean, what is 14 down for the men is like first, and then 13 down is like tied or something. So you see a difference in the divisions and just in the way that they have the courses set up for them. I appreciate Dynamic because I think Eric McCabe does such a good job catering to their field without making it too easy. Like I love this because I love seeing bogeys and birdies, because it's showing that the players are attacking, but they're not just playing it safe. Like they're not just like laying up and then like laying up again and walking away with their par. They're like going for it. And sometimes they're messing up. Like we see Haley Kay, bogey, birdie, bogey, birdie. I love that. Like had she made all of the correct moves, she'd have 4 birdies in a row.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I'll follow that up, and just for a clarification.
Why are you laughing at me?
Well, because you're basically saying, well, if she didn't screw up on those holes, they would be birdies instead of bogeys.
What's wrong with that?
I feel like that could be said anywhere.
You don't do this to Dynamite, and he gets his own theme song.
I mean, what do you want to be your theme song, Hannah? I mean,
Alexa, call Dana. Siri, call Dana.
The one thing I would like to also clarify, and I only know of it in a couple spots off the top of my head because we're not through the round and I don't do the research that Hannah does. Some of the holes might be the exact same, but the pars are different.
Oh,
so
sure,
like hole 1, that plays as a par 5 for the women as opposed to a par 4 for the men. But exactly to your point, when you're looking at the scorecard, you're seeing a mixture of colors on it, which to me means they're playing golf. Like
they're really making decisions and going for things. Yeah. A lot of the women kept saying, it was so funny because I prep for the show, and what I do is I'll go watch all the interviews, and if you were on like the Naked Matt show or the Party with Hannah Christine or Smashbox, like I go listen to your podcast episodes and I listen to the interviews, and then I'm like, where are they at for this year? And all the women in talking about this tournament were really trying hard to convince me that they're just going to like take it easy and they're just going to try to keep it in bounds and like not get too crazy because, keeping it in bounds will win them the tournament. And I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it, because the minute that someone else on your card goes for things and starts pulling away from you, that voice inside your head that's like, you can make it over that water. You can clear that OB. You can make the circle 2-putt. Like that voice starts getting loud, and if you're not ready for that, like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. Like I've already seen Kona and Haley and women who were like, yeah, I'm just gonna, play within my own game, sort of like throw the big shots. And while that might be in their game, it is a risk, and you have to be able to deal with the punishment of not making it, as well as like the reward if you make it.
Yeah.
So there.
Johnny, a little bit unprecedented territory in that seeing the double back up, and then now I guess are we awaiting any official news as to how it's going to get handled in the morning in terms of the coverage we've got things like battery power, manpower. Just there's a lot of factors that go into saying, hey, we're going to also play golf at 8:30 in the morning, in addition to the golf that's played all day long and trying to be covered. Do we have any other official word or insight on that yet?
I have not heard anything. I made it abundantly clear, I think, that I am against doing any broadcasting in the morning, just because we do have a full day tomorrow as well. And we run into logistics such as, are we going to bring Terry and Hannah in at 8 a.m.? And this podcast might just be ending at that point. We don't know.
Are we sponsored by Birdie Fuel?
Yeah, exactly. We
No
could be sponsored by Birdie Fuel or something. We have post-production, and there's a really good reason that post-production can exist. There's only, as we know, there's only like 4 holes left. So to get everybody up and out there with 4 holes to go just doesn't seem worth. I don't say worthwhile, because every hole for FPO is worthwhile. Let's be honest, but it doesn't seem like it's worth the effort for everybody to get to do this live for that little bit when they can just do it post-production. Now, maybe what I would love to see, and I'll talk to Mo, is if we can find a cameraman who's an early bird, maybe go out and film the 4 holes and cut together a quick highlight reel.
Yeah, I love that.
And then we can show something like that. Like, hey, earlier today, the women finished up and, Kat had, a bogey and 2 birdies, and then just kind of run through it really quickly. It seems to make much more sense to me than trying to get everything prepped with all of the moving pieces.
Yeah, and the only word I would change, and I know you didn't say it maliciously, I wouldn't say it's not worth the effort. It's a challenge on the resources.
Correct.
More so. It's not that we don't want to be doing it. It's just a matter of the resources. We have to be look at it as an overall perspective of the day, and then what that means not only for the day but the entire weekend. And if there's a logical way to go about getting it still accomplished or get the point across, I think that's great. But the resources, I think, become the bigger challenge.
I just got a text. Oh, because Terry's made fun of me all day for flexing my friends. I just got a text from Paige Shue.
Oh, who? It's not Juliana.
No.
Or Elaine King, possibly.
I wish. Elaine, if you're watching, I love you. Okay, so I'm supposed to do an interview with her for our podcast, and she goes, "Hi, I'm exhausted and I have to tee off at 8:30 in the morning." And I was like, "You're good. See you tomorrow." I just thought it was funny.
I've always said Paige Shue is the most inconsiderate person on tour and the meanest.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
I mean, yeah, totally.
All right. So FPO, I don't think we ever specifically said our leaders as of right now is the best way to put that. Katrina Allen, that 4 down. Haley King at 2.
Chris Brown.
Yes. No. What's my name? Jennifer Allen sits at even in that tie with Macy Walker and Kat Murch. And then we see Kona Panis sits at +1. Heather Young, last weekend's champion, sits at +1 as well. Heather
she
had 3 birdies, all coming in the latter half of the course, and then she had 2 bogeys and a double. And Erica Stinchcomb really lighting up her scorecard. Some good, some not so good. But one of the half of the 2 hot geese also getting out there with a +2, and she's got 3 holes left to play. So, Hannah, I think it's fair to say, as we kind of just scroll down, if you look at where most birdies are captured on this course, hole 10 and beyond is where you find the majority of the birdies captured. Can we draw anything from, holding on in the front or changing up a game plan? Is there anything you can take from that, or is that just a matter of oh, hey, the back half's easier?
I don't know. I don't know enough. What I mean is I don't know enough to make that declaration and put that out into the world for people who are consuming the coverage. As far as I'm concerned, I think that reset that they had really helped. That's what I think it was. I think the storm came through, and that's what we're seeing in the front nine. I think the front nine might have looked a little bit more blue had they not been playing in those conditions. Maybe a bit more attackable, less slipping on the tee pads. Not that there was a lot of that reported, but it's always in the back of your mind as something that could happen. And then once that all came through, the conditions were still really wet, but they were able to play. They didn't have to shuffle around with an umbrella and manage all of their towels under an umbrella, and they had room to breathe. and they felt like they could take their time. They weren't like running out from under an umbrella, throwing a shot and then running back. I think that's what that was.
Okay. I'd love to know if it happened for
Do you want
Jessica.
me to call everyone and
You
ask
should
them?
call Jessica Weiss. I would just love to know if it happened if the reset happened on 10. She had come out and she really struggled on the front. She had 7 over par strokes, and then as of hole 10, then she ended up taking 4 birdies in the next 6 holes. So it's almost like there was a switch that was flipped, or those holes are just playing more in her favor. But they seem like.
I mean, that's a lot of par 4s, and hole 13 is no joke. Hole 14 is pretty tough too, but a lot of the par 4s out here are very gettable if you can just throw, oh wow, what a shock, throw a good shot off the tee. But like putting yourself in a good position, they're very attainable.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Johnny V had announced a little while ago, any super chats that come in tonight, we're going to turn around and then immediately donate to the Wysocki GoFundMe. A couple of you guys have stepped up in a major way. Of course, some gracious super chatters. You're seeing them show up on the screen. Chris Carpenter, Ryan Pilcher, Shift One Photo, Matt Millersum, Lee
Mullersman. It's okay.
Wow,
that's fine.
Yeah, Lee Adams, Chris Brown, and
Juliana Schick.
And Juliana Schick. I know Juliana and her husband Nick are both huge Ricky Wysocki fans, and so it's very gracious of you guys to jump in with a really significant $50 super chat. So thank you guys so much. And Tim Courts, not only thank you for the super chat, but happy birthday. I know it's your birthday today. And Shift One Photo also came in with another super chat. So good call, Johnny, and we're more than happy that at tonight's end we'll go ahead and we'll head over to the GoFundMe, and we'll put it in there. So
I've got it up right here. And by the way, it's a GoFundMe for Lauren Wysocki. I believe it's pronounced Mays. So if you're interested in funding that outside of this, awesome.
Directly,
if not, you can direct donation. Otherwise, obviously, like I said, any super chats tonight will go right there. Right after the show, we'll do a donation in Smashbox's name. So thank you, everybody.
Certainly. Thank you, guys. All right. So that's what we saw. Dare we venture to guess what we saw in any other play? Johnny, do you have anything outside of what we just been talking about before we maybe look at a few other people that got their rounds in on today's play?
No, the one thing I did notice was Brody Smith early in the day. He had like I don't know, it was like a 4 a.m. tee time or something.
Yeah, he was super early, and then he's like a triple bogey, and I just exposed him because I thought that's what you were going to say, but it wasn't.
No, actually, I was. I was going to say the front 9, he was lighting it up. I think he was like 8 down for 10 or something along those lines. There was a lot of blue he was building, and suddenly, he ran into a wall with the triple. Was it a triple bogey? An 8. He took an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's his first official snowman that he's taken.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I would have heard about it before.
Yeah.
Because he's like kind of candid on Instagram.
Sure.
But I don't know if that's his. I guess
he's watching.
I'm sure.
Watching.
Brody, was that your
Brody, was that your official worst shot?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to get asked that or called out on that if it was?
But
but
ultimately,
he's well other than that.
Yeah, other than that, he bounced back really well, so he's got that nice bounce back statistic going now for him, and he finished off very strong. So, he's tied for 18th right now. I'm sorry, he had a bogey and then the triple bogey, so that was rough. But then he had a birdie and an eagle, and then birdie par to finish out. So, I mean, no joke. We know this course it's not the most technical course right now. It is a thrower's course, much like we saw last week. I believe it was already now. God, these weekends just blend together. And he's in some really good company with Johnny McRae. He's a couple 1 stroke better than Kevin Jones. Terry Roethlisberger's right around him. Nate Sexton is right around him. So it's it'll be interesting. But I did notice that he was out in the lead early in the day.
So is this their first time competing at Jones Gold layout? So they took the property and they combined it and made a huge pro elite level layout. Is that what happened?
Correct.
Yeah, they've done
And
Jones
I
Gold
know
one
some-
other time, at least.
Oh, okay.
What was that for, an exhibition or something though, or was that for? If it was for a tournament, it wasn't for a large scale tournament. I think is maybe the answer.
Correct. It wasn't the
We've never
GBO.
seen Jones Gold before. Yes.
Correct.
When?
What was it?
When? Prove it. Oh, those would sound very specific.
Not for the GBO.
Was it? I think it was a modified version because there are some holes I don't remember. So maybe things
Oh,
have
it's
changed
nothing
a
like
little
this
bit.
one. Oh,
Okay.
okay. So this
The
feller.
McBeth family
Yeah.
would like to. I'm just kidding.
Paul's saying he's played a course that's been named Jones Gold, but it wasn't necessarily this specific layout.
Yeah,
So
that
it
makes
was Jones
sense.
Gold A. This
I
is
like
Jones Gold B.
I think it's great.
This is the gold Jones Gold that Eric McCabe redesigned recently. So
I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm excited for everyone to be able to compete on it in good condition.
The 23 mile an hour winds we're expecting.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm excited for that.
No, I am as well. I mean, that's the one thing.
Well, it's 4 days. So you have rain, then wind, then sleet, then
Fire.
hail.
Oh. Tornado. No.
No,
Tidal wave?
I hope not.
Earthquake.
No, it's rain, wind, sleet, hail, right? That's the
Oh.
mailman thing that they say.
yes.
Come rain, come wind, come sleet, come. You know, maybe I'm more of an after show guest. And maybe I'm not cut out for this.
This is why Hannah always does. This is why Hannah records hers and doesn't do it live because you don't understand how many takes it gets.
Yeah, things get sideways.
Nailed it.
All right.
Honestly, how did you know that?
Well,
A few more of our gracious super chatters. Michael Canning, Joe Douglas, thank you so much. Lindsay Westberg, Team Throw Pink, Jordan Samuelson, and Daniel D. So again, thank you guys so much for all of that, which we'll be putting right away after the show. All right. Snow is the other one that we're expecting. I mean, we saw that in Jonesboro a couple years ago. We saw that in Vegas.
Yeah.
Jonesboro I can understand, but wow, yeah, seeing it in Vegas, that was the craziest one. I remember getting my rental car, and any rental car you get in the Midwest.
Disc golf rich.
Yeah. You would go and during certain months there would be a snow brush. And I thought there was literally not a snow brush in the trunk in Vegas because they see snow.
I remember that too. Yeah, we had the same thing. We all had to have like our sweatshirts on and do this thing, like where you're pulling it over your hand and then wiping it.
All right, so here's another. We're going to go totally off the rails for 1 second. TikToker. Can anyone confirm or deny if you have to be still just 25, or did they raise the age on rental cars? That was a pre-show conversation that took place here, and I'm wondering if anyone else out there has had any experiences.
You would know that, right?
He's the one that told me.
Yeah, I think they changed it to 30.
He wants to be on this podcast so bad.
Yeah.
He keeps cutting in. He's texting me. I'm just kidding.
So I think it's for the fees.
Okay, so we'll see if anyone else has had that. I get carded all the time, but they don't necessarily. Yeah.
In Huntington Beach, there will be 18.
Wow. Okay, so rental car issues. All right.
you can rent a car at the age of 18, but you have to pay extra insurance until usually, I believe it's 25.
Yeah,
Mhm.
usually it was, and Paul was saying earlier, I don't know how we got off this random conversation earlier today, but he had said that he thought the age was raised to 30, and I said, I'm just barely clear of that. I don't have to worry about it, but I am curious to know if others have that deal, have that problem.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm most excited about going into tomorrow, day 2 at Dynamic Discs Open.
Please go. You have the
Thank
floor.
you. Everything. There is
Cop out.
no, it's not. You don't understand. I love doing commentary so much because I love women's disc golf so much. And like, there's so much that's happening right now in the women's field. There are so many new names. There, like Paige Shue had an entire baby and she's back and she's carrying the name of a company on her shoulders and she's back playing her first event. And like, I don't think people understand. Like, go research what happens to a woman's body when you like give birth, and then come back and tell me that you would be able to do that and now be throwing discs over 300 feet off of the tee in front of everyone. That's a lot. Also, Katrina Allen takes ice showers now because she wants to like work on her mental game that badly. Like, wow, like please someone give her a world title already. Like that's amazing. Like what? Well, I mean she has one, Johnny V. She's gonna get another one if she keeps this up because she's so good on the fairway and she's like practicing putting during a rain delay when everyone's miserable. Anyways, who else? Rebecca Cox, like quiet. Rebecca Cox, like just kind of like keeps to herself, like doesn't like isn't like super loud on social media, doesn't like vlog or do anything or put herself out there. Started an entire organization, a nonprofit for people of color to feel more included in disc golf, and like has people here and is also competing and is also sponsored by Latitude, which is in the Trilogy family, which is a supporter of dynamic discs. So like a lot of eyes are on her. She has a lot of obligations. And I just love that. And she's so good. It was so funny because she said like, oh yeah, I spent so much time working on my backhand that I like forgot to also work on my putt. So she's struggling with that a little bit, but she's balancing it out now. Throw out another name.
How about Cat Merch? I got a story.
Yeah, Cat Merch.
I've got a name real quick. Dan Harbeck. Dan Harbeck, thank you very much for your $100 super chat.
Wow.
Yeah, Dan, thank you so much. Thank you for always supporting us at Smashbox, and thank you for that as well. To go right to the GoFundMe. We appreciate it, buddy. I was going to say Cat Merch, and the reason I was going to say that is because we've seen her on tour this year again, and she's out there, she's young, she's living life, she's doing all of those things, but she has struggled this year. She's admitted to that. She knows that she has a great attitude in the fact that she's struggling and she's always just looking to improve, and she has a great tone and demeanor about it all. And then today I look at her scorecard and I see that she had kind of a roller coaster round. I mean, she ultimately finished at even, and as I was just mentioning, she had 7 birdies. That's more than any other woman in the field. She had 7 birdies out there, and so ultimately brought back to even, but getting those birdies. I mean, of course, it's impressive. Anytime you're leading the field in your birdie count, now clearly she's got some things to clean up. I just like seeing that she had a really lackluster performance at the last few of events, and then came out today and said, "Hey, even in these conditions, I can put some birdies together." So let's
I think what that shows.
Real quick though, if she turns all of those bogeys into eagles, she'll have a really good round tomorrow.
Kat
kidding me?
Kat has said in the past that she is an all-out player, like all or nothing. She is going after everything. That's her mentality, and no reason not to.
I don't hate that.
Yeah,
no.
I mean,
we've seen other people do
that's what Paige Pierce says. Like she either wants to win or she doesn't care. Yeah, it just shows that she's capable. Yeah. I mean, it shows you what she's capable of. You know, the person below her, Kona, didn't take advantage of any of those birdieable holes. And they're, you know, Kona's 1 stroke over par and Kat's at even. So it goes to show, even though she did have quite a few messes out there on the during the round, she had a lot of birdies, and that shows that she's capable of making them. And the thing about Kat Merch is like, I think it's so interesting because we talked about her a lot last year during the Silver Series because there wasn't anything going on, and they had covered the Silver Series, and she had like that really sick sidearm throw-in. She has aspects of her game that need growth, and it's going to be interesting to see how she manages all of the attention and has patience with herself as she continues to grow as an FPO player, because not all of those tools are there yet. You know, they exist, but they're not sharp enough to be in use yet. But it's only a matter of time. Yeah,
well, it's as you said, there's a lot to be excited about in the FPO division. and we saw the graphic earlier during the broadcast about the FPO parity. We've had 4 different winners at these Elite Series.
It feels
events.
like the hot headline of every tournament should be, "Who's that?" like so and so. Who's that? Like Macy Walker, and then what is the girl who took down the Shelley Sharp Memorial?
Holland
Hanley.
Yeah, she took.
You're
kind
of like, wow, good for her. Who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we find out, we're like, wow.
Yeah.
But not to mention all the European women that are about to come over here, because there's more of them. It's not just Evelina and Henna anymore. It's like, oh, there's so many that are just ready.
Is there anyone, I know we talked about Paige missing from the event, Paige Pierce that is missing from this event. Is there anyone that will feel any less than because Paige wasn't here to defeat as well in any way, shape, or form, right?
No, just because of the start to the year that she's had, I don't think anything about that. I don't think anyone will be like, oh, well, Paige wasn't there, because even though she is completely capable, she's not playing her best for whatever reason. And so it doesn't feel that way. Yeah.
So it's surprising to not see Paige here.
Yes, because of how much of a leader she is for FPO, and that like she just announced that she's the female face of a company, and anytime the female face of a company, be it, Kristen Tatar with Latitude 64 or Katrina Allen with Prodigy, doesn't show up to an event that they're more than capable of showing up to, it always feels like a little bit strange. But disc golf is back, okay? And like every single weekend there's something going on. So if she needs to skip this one so that she can be stronger at some events down the road, I mean, who am I to say? I'm not her. Yeah, it's like that. This kind of came up earlier when we were talking about Ricky and his family situation, is like, it's every weekend. I mean, this one's on Wednesday. So Heather Young came off of her win on Sunday, got into the car and drove down here, and she's already like, yeah, that was great, but like, I got to learn these 2 new courses and they don't play to my strengths. And now even like the European Open is canceled, and there's like talks of putting things in the way of it, or in place of it. And then Beaver State Fling got canceled, and a week later they were like, Resistance Discs open. So even when you think like, oh, maybe I'll have a few days to recoup and really like recoup my losses or like celebrate my wins, there's always disc golf happening now. And I know as fans, we are very excited about that. But as competitors and the wife of a competitor, it's like, you have to be very careful to really take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, and kind of a slight tangent to that, I'm going to rely on our studio audience again. Paul, Ezra Aderhold had withdrawn earlier today. Is it public knowledge as to why?
No, he said he's going to make a post about it.
Okay, so super secret. I actually,
exclusive.
I know why, but I am not about to make any announcement.
I have a question.
Yes.
Johnny V and Terry, as media, how has this year felt compared to last year? Because last year you were doing some content for the Disc Golf Network, but there was no live disc golf to cover, which is a completely different animal because of quarantine. Like I'm talking about like when you were in quarantine. Now it's every weekend because you guys signed on for a Silver Series final day and then also NTs, which is great. And I know a lot of people are benefiting from it, but what has this year been like for you guys?
It's been pretty hectic, honestly. Looking at the schedule, you're right. Almost every weekend. I was internally cheerful when I heard that some of the events were canceled. Like, obviously, I want to see them all go off, but then thinking, oh, that's great. You know, the European Open's not going on. That means I'm going to have a week or a weekend where I'm not going to be doing disc golf yeah, I know. And trust me, I want to see these events happen, but there's a selfishness when they don't. And you're like, okay, cool. Beaver State Fling. I knew we weren't going to be live there just based on the location and stuff, but there were talks of us doing some sort of live component to the show. And then I thought, oh, that's awesome. Now maybe, and then obviously, as you had said, the Resistance Open pops up, and it's been busy. And on top of that, with the Milwaukee studio, we're in the middle of a true build out for a real studio, so we're kind of in a temporary studio, which is working out. But there's just a lot of moving parts right now, and it doesn't. I feel like I spend more time in the studio this year than I ever have. Last year was interesting because we had that 3 month. It was about a 3 month, 2 to 3 month break where just nothing was really going on and nobody knew what was going to happen or when we'd have golf. And now it's just guns a-blazing. Everybody's moving, man.
Yeah, I asked Missy Gannon. I interviewed her a couple of nights ago and said for the party podcast on the Disc Golf Network with Hannah and Christine. And I asked her a couple of nights ago why she signed up for everything. Mm-hmm. And they're still events. She has played 7 events. She's signed up for 13 more. And then some of them haven't even been announced yet. That's 20 events. And some of them haven't even been announced yet. Like registration's not open yet for like some of them. Like Women's National Championships isn't on the PDGA yet as she's like registered for it. Mm. And then like a couple end of the year ones, like the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale and all that stuff. So there's the potential for 3 to 5 more. And I'm like, what made you want to really dive in as much as you have this year? And she's like, fear of not being able to, like last year, because of points and all these different things. She's like, and then secondly is they made Silver Series part of the point system for the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale. And so these little tournaments that you might have played, like Stafford Open, she always hits up because she likes the course. Uh-huh. But now you're like, oh, that could give me, that might, like, these extra 30 or 25 points, that might push me into a bye, or I might move up a spot, or I might have an advantage over someone. So it's little things like that add on. Now there's like 6 or 7 tournaments that she wouldn't have necessarily had to play. And now she feels like, oh, I really want to go over there now and play these. So
it's
interesting.
Is it fair to say that I feel like I've gotten a similar response out of your husband about seeing more tournaments, signed up for more tournaments with a bit more of an aggressive schedule than in years past, maybe even playing some what I'd consider slightly smaller tournaments or signed up for them. And I feel like I got a similar response from him. Yeah,
there's always going to be the tournaments that your friends are putting on and you want to go to. Wintertime Open was always an A tier just became an A tier, but John Tompkins always ran that one for the past couple of years. And then there's like, again, like the Resistance Discs Open is Jeff Corns, and that's our friend. And then Foundation Disc Golf does the Battle for Bedford, and that's in Virginia. And then, there's always like those other tournaments that you want to go to support. And now it's like, geez, that's so much disc golf. Like, you've really got to take care of your body, because it's not that for Paul and for other disc golfers, the ones that we're seeing at the top, they've been here before. Like this isn't a new place. Jones Gold is a new layout, and some of the women haven't been here before, but they've been to this area before. They know the golf. The longer you play, the more often you recognize shots that you've thrown before. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, I kind of know what to do, or you trust your bag more or whatever. So it's experience. But I mean, so it's not necessarily, oh, I've got to learn these new courses every week. It's just like, I've got to be ready to go from, Heather Young just won an A tier at a course that they had to switch to. But still, like 300-foot par 3s, 275-foot par 3s, like that's a very short attackable course. And now she's out here, and that's a whole different style of golf to switch to in a matter of days. So it's a big toll on the body, it's a big toll on the mind. And yeah, we're figuring it out. Our sport is figuring it out, and who knows, in 10 years will we have this many elite events? I don't know. But for now, it's a lot of content. We hope that you're supporting everyone, because for you, it's fun. The viewers out there, it's fun. Like, you get to tune in every weekend. You have like a guaranteed plan. But for these competitors, like, that's a lot in your body.
It is, and that speaks to maybe you had originally asked about.
And for you guys as well.
Yeah, the content and 20 with 22 potential events. At one point, there was 22 events that were looking at being covered. And you rewind to 2014 when we started Smashbox, for instance, there were 4 or 6 events throughout the whole year that were covered, and that spanned the entire year. And now we're looking at potentially 22 or 24 weekends, or that may even include a week-long event. And so, content is plentiful, but there's a lot of moving parts for a lot of people.
Yeah, I studied exercise science in college, and I actually got my degree in it. Can totally tell. But one of the things that we learned was periodization in an athlete's schedule. And what that is it's season, postseason, preseason, off-season, preseason. And I did a project my senior year in college on that, and what would that look like for a disc golfer? And I'm like, well, there is an off-season and there's an in-season. And I remember my professor was like, great. What do you want your clients who are professional disc golfers to be doing? Like, what can they do in their postseason? And I'm like, well, the off season's only like 2.5 months long. Mm-hmm. So, I guess a few days of postseason and a few days of preseason would be good. And he's like, geez, that's a lot. And I carried that with me, because it is like, some of these people, they start like, Katrina Allen, like she plays in November because she's in Arizona, and then she'll be like, oh, there's a Christmas one, yeah, I'll play that. Oh, there's January, there's whatever, like I'll play that. And I'm like, wow.
Katrina Allen putts in the rain too, as we saw today.
she's unreal.
Yeah, she's incredible. For those of you that weren't watching,
that's one way for her to stay loose and warm today. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I say for those of you that weren't watching the broadcast, we came back from that rain delay or the lightning delay, and it was still raining. And our cameraman is like, "Hey guys, Katrina's out here putting in the rain, just while everybody else is huddled underneath of the tents waiting for the 2 minutes to come. She's out there just putt after. She had to be out there for at least 10 minutes in the rain, just putting.
I love it. And I love it.
So do I. It just goes to show.
She wants to win. She needs to, for her legacy, she needs to get putting down. She is the best FPO that we have, but because of her putting, she does not win. Mm-hmm. And she gets that figured out, and she's like nearly impossible to beat. People always say, they're like, oh, Paige Pierce and Paige Pierce and Paige Pierce. And yeah, Paige is awesome. She is super talented. But guess what? Katrina is better on the fairway than Paige Pierce. She has better stats. And that's not me, in my opinion, that's UDisc. So take it to them if you disagree, okay? But I'm in both fan clubs, and that's how I feel. Like, Katrina is handing over these titles to another woman, whether it's Paige, Kona, Haley, whoever, because she can't putt. And I want to see her working on it. I want to see that as a fan and as like someone who loves women's disc golf. I'm like, yeah.
So maybe with all of that said, Katrina also brings the experience and the preparation today, because she's out there in a coat that obviously is a raincoat type material. Now, you look at someone else who may think, yeah, I'd love to keep my putting warmed up, or I'd like to work on my putting stroke. If you're out there just sporting a sweatshirt, you're probably not out there practice putting. So as silly as that may sound, my point is, because she was prepped with the right equipment, she's out there in a raincoat anyway. Putting in the rain isn't exactly crazy for what she was doing, but she also had to have herself prepped in the sense that she even could be doing that.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's out there in a hooded sweatshirt, I guarantee you they're not out.
And then
they
she did great, really but she did great at putting when she came back. And I just, I don't know, guys. I think women's disc golf is exciting, and there's a lot of content, and I think the podcasts this year and the media this year has done a good job of observing both and talking about both and giving a stage to both. But I'm excited for her because I feel like she is really good. And
all right. Well, we don't do a lot of hot takes around here. I mean, we leave that up to you and other people. But give us a hot take right now as we're talking FPO. Who's going to hoist the World Championship trophy in FPO this year?
In Ogden, Utah. Oh gosh, 5 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
4 days, 5 days.
5 days. You know, that's like asking me to pick the Super Bowl winner. So I'm just going to take it nice and lighthearted and hope that everyone listening, all 100 and 200, 201 of you, let's go.
Plus 10,900 downloads, but go on. Just,
Wow.
I mean, I'm just estimating.
Who is going to hoist the flag? I think I have no knowledge about the courses, but what I do know is how these women have competed in the past. And I think if Katrina Allen can have her circle one percentage above 70%, then it's her. And I think if Paige Pierce is going to come back. Paige Pierce is taking some time to figure some things out, and she's very open and candid about that. If you want to know, like, just go over to her Instagram. And I'm fine with that. Do you live your life? But she's missing that thing. Like, she's missing like that spark and that fire. And I think what it is like there's been no parity for her, but there kind of is, because like she's not winning. So everyone's kind of like writing her off at this point. But she's like, there's no parity. And I'm like, well, yeah, like it's just not revolving you anymore. Like, so I'm hoping that she plays well. Obviously, she's Team Discraft, and so am I, so I'm loyal to her. But yeah, Katrina Allen's just freaking good, man.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Katrina Allen is freaking good, man.
Yeah. But I also know that she's beatable. I mean, Haley King is low-key like a dark horse, and I can't not pick her because, like, I can't. It's so hard.
Okay.
It's like asking me to choose your favorite kid. I can't.
That's easy for me. Anyway, if my kids are watching, by the way, go to bed. Yeah, you should go to bed.
Which wouldn't be shocking.
No, they're not.
All right, I want to talk about two things regarding manufacturers. First and foremost, let's talk about the DDO Players Pack, Terry. One of the coolest things that I have seen. I mean, we've always seen the DDO hand out some really great Players Packs, but this one, I don't know if it takes the cake or not. Getting a bag with your state, was it the state flag, basically representing the fabric of the entire bag. So it was at a paratrooper bag. So I saw the California one. It had obviously the California flag. It was made out of awesome. Honestly.
Yeah.
Get me one.
No,
too.
That's so cool.
I did not see all of the player pack items myself, but you're exactly right. I saw that they had the custom bags based on, I assume, the state in which you registered from. I saw those all lined up out there, and I thought that was really cool. Because we were doing setup and everything else yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't get to partake in any of the things that were going on outside of setup here at the country club. But, they had a drive-through check-in. Yeah, there's a picture on Instagram. They had a drive-through check-in process where you would pull in, I think, to their old warehouse, and then from there you could actually pick up your player pack
Wait,
bag.
can I show it?
Yeah, you can try. Yep, there it is.
Wow.
I can do this as well.
Johnny's gonna out technology you. Watch him flex his.
Oh, yeah, that's way better than what I did.
That is
so,
the
yeah.
bag. Yeah, honestly, pretty amazing, I have to say.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Would you say it was wicked cool?
No, because I have self-respect.
Oh,
No, it's totally fine. It's like a Massachusetts thing.
I know it is. It's wicked cool. How you like them apples, right?
You like them apples, guy.
I like them apples, guy.
Bud.
So
all that really matters is, are they giving out chocolate truths?
I don't believe
Did you
they're.
see that in the player pack?
So what was included in the DDO Players Pack was the Paratrooper disc golf bag. You got a hybrid evader, which is, I think, one of their new releases. An Opto Glimmer Ballista Pro to the Max 12. I don't know. A lime scented Terry Prime Slammer, which I believe the Slammer The slam.
On Prime Slammers. I
I
think I had that drink last night somewhere.
that wouldn't shock me. Which I think the Slammer was one of the discs
He
that
said
was
public
out of
strangle.
production or something. A West Side Discs, Ecoline Warship, and a Glow Mini Judge. So there's a West Side hat, a Ballista shirt, Birdie Fuel Mini, a bottle opener. It was, again, no surprise, above and beyond what anybody else practically does for players packs. And if you're a fan of DD or the Trilogy Connection, this is the place to go. But they say due to COVID-19 restrictions, player check-in and player pack distribution was not done at the Granada. It was actually a drive-through at the DD warehouse. So there's a picture of a line of cars waiting to get their stuff. So very, very cool. And moving from dynamic discs over to our friends over at Discraft, I see that there is a brand new Discraft disc that was just approved by the PDGA. Hannah, the Scorch. Are you scorching with it?
Don't love that name.
There was a brand new PDGA, a Discraft disc that was just approved by the PDGA, the Scorch.
Yeah, approved on April 19th. It was just announced it was actually announced just over a week ago, so we just missed it last week. But yeah, the Scorch. It's like a driver. Come on, don't play silly. We all know that you know this stuff. Ask the guy behind the camera.
What?
Huh? What? Is that? I'm assuming it's a driver. Long distance, probably. Something that throws far.
Do you know about the Scorch? The McBeth family would like to make a remark regarding the Scorch. It's a speed 10 or 11. It's a 11 or 12, and it's a test driver. Please.
Or 13 or 15.
Oh, what did you say?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Test flight.
You have the test flight
What did I say?
versions.
Test driver? Oh my gosh, I need to go to bed.
Oh, man.
No, for anyone asking, she is not under the influence of anything.
Wow, smashies. What the heck? See, I told you I'm an after show kind of guest. We'll keep this in mind for the future.
All right.
You're
Yeah.
an anytime kind of guest, Hannah.
Yeah, you can join us whenever. All right. Is there anything else that we are concerned about in terms of PDJ news, social media news? Anything else jump up? Obviously, Mid-America this last weekend. Unfortunately, it feels like we have kind of glossed over it in the sense that we saw Kyle Klein winning on the MPO side. Obviously, Heather Young taking it down on FPO. Both were great battles. You saw that on the Disc Golf Network on the Silver Series. It's funny, one of the constant comments that comes in with regard to that coverage is people say, we want it for free on YouTube. And it's like, no, this is an added benefit to being a Disc Golf Network subscriber, is that we're giving you the last round and it's exclusively live on Disc Golf Network. Of course, there's post-production, so you're always welcome to wait for those. But if you want to consume final round coverage for the Silver Series events, they're offered live on Disc Golf Network as part of your subscription. And it's pretty cool that we've seen some great golf and some great battles unfold there.
Yeah, and more to come tomorrow.
That's right.
And the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, and then.
All right, I'll ask you this, Hannah. I'll reserve my comments.
Okay.
Trying to.
But then I have to go to bed.
Do you like 4-day events that are not majors?
No.
So A tiers, Elite Series, NTs, any of those fancy things.
Correct.
That are top level events but aren't majors. You do not like them as 4 days. You would like them to be
3
days.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Boom.
Agree.
Nate Heinold, talking to you. Just kidding.
Jeff Spring, we're talking to you.
Oh, no.
Dynamic is open, we're talking to you.
The McBeth family would like. Paul
Half
McBeth
of.
wants 4.
Why? Why?
More competition. More competitive. I think it leaves room for you to have a bad round and still play well, and vice versa. It keeps things closer, I feel like, too, overall.
Oh,
Okay.
those are good points.
Yeah,
I
so
respect that.
Paul is suggesting or is saying that it leaves you an opportunity to possibly play poorly and then still be able to recover, makes it a little bit more competitive overall, which I can understand all of that. I just think of, again, everything you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
about letting bodies rest, about the touring, the playing. If you guys were, if our top players were only expected to play every other weekend, so to speak, I could see more 4-day competitions possibly.
Yeah, a note on that too is tournaments are easy because no one's at 1 day. Practice days is like 2, a lot more.
Yeah, that's true too. I think I don't mind if you have a week off. Maybe there's like a what?
Yeah, so he also followed that up by saying, it's so funny. He also followed it up by saying that tournament days are almost easier, therefore, than practice days because in practice days they typically play 2 rounds as opposed to the tournament days where just 1 round gets played.
This is really good. Do you have a lot of practice with this? Johnny B? Usually you're doing this for Terry. Usually you're translating everything that he's trying to tell you.
Sometimes.
Now it's Terry doing it for Paul McBeth. Yeah, I get that. I think if you had the week off before where there might have been a smaller event that you could go to if you wanted to, if you were feeling up to it, maybe if you're like new to the tour and you need to keep cashing every weekend to afford food on your table, like I get it. But yeah, like if there was a week off and then Ledgestone and it was 4 days, I think that would be totally fine. Because I feel like we came here early. We left the Mid-America. We came here early and he had plenty of time to practice. There was, yeah, for a 4-day event. But
Sure.
Otherwise, you know.
But that was only, you say plenty of time, only because
we
he did
didn't
not play
Yeah.
on the previous
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah.
Anything over 3 rounds should have a cut. That's
Ooh,
my thought.
I like that too.
Brody Smith take over here.
Oh, please. I've been around. I've been playing golf before Brody could walk.
That means
Hey-o.
you're old.
Yeah, I am. I'm old.
I can subscribe to that as well. That does make sense because as much as Paul just said about it being competitive and more competitive, that's competitive at the top. I don't need to see who's 90 over par versus who's 87
Hey,
over par versus who's 86 over
we've
par.
all been there. Okay.
No, we haven't all been there. so a cut does make sense, and that speeds things up on the final day, cleans up everything and keeps things moving. So I can also get on board with that. All right, Hannah, do you have any final thoughts? I think we can close this out, make this an early Smashbox.
Yeah, and so everybody knows we have to close out because they're using Hannah's computer. So
yes.
she's forcing the end of Smashbox, just so you guys know.
Yes, blame her. Yes.
No, I'm excited for tomorrow. I just appreciate everyone's support. I mean, the sport takes a lot out of you. I mean, we're still in the grassroots, or like, what's the step up from grassroots for like a lot of things. Like we figured out what works and now we're working to improve those things. And we just appreciate the community because you guys are supportive of a lot of what we do. And there's 200 of you watching me right now, which is insane. Like, please stop and go to bed immediately. I'm just kidding. You guys are here for Terry and Johnny. But yeah, no, I just want to say thanks to the community. Like, you guys are awesome, and we love each and every one of you, and we appreciate like all the kind messages. Oh, he's showing my party stand. That's so cute. Oh, you could sell that for like $300 right now. Ew.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I gotta go sell
400 right now.
The market is hot. Is it a money foil or anything cool like that?
No, it looks just like a standard, like just a reflective foil. Just stand. Like,
I gave him
silver.
the lesser looking of the two.
Yes, he does.
Distracted. But anyways, as I was saying, thank you so much to the fans. None of this is possible without you guys. And it sounds really cheesy, but we really mean it. Like, the kind messages and the people who take the time to reach out or just say hi, or who are just genuinely kind to us throughout the tour. Maybe we see you on the course, you let us play through. Maybe you watch our videos and leave a nice comment. It doesn't go unnoticed, and we just appreciate it because life on the road can be really tough, but you guys make it easier. And also thanks to you guys. I mean, I know we have to work together all week, so I'll see you like in a couple hours. But yeah, you guys work really hard, and the fact that you were like, we have to have a Smashbox show, and then you just let me come on and crash it was really cool. Like, you guys are doing so many good things, and you're inspiring so many people. So thanks, Johnny V, for being awesome.
Thanks.
And yeah, you're good.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I'm excited to just keep getting this show on the road. You know what I mean? One wheel at a time.
I'm game with that. Johnny, any parting shots before we close it out?
No, just everybody tune in to the Disc Golf Network. Or if you happen to be in Emporia, you can tune in on the local, I think it's cable access through ValueNet. They are playing it on the televisions in the area. If you happen to be catching that, that's great. And otherwise, tune in to see these two yahoos talk all about some of the best FPO players in our sport. And while they have to listen to me and Mo, and while they try to make coherent sentences.
Yeah, today was a little bit loud, a little bit much coming in our ears. Every time it happened, I noticed Hannah lose her space just for a second. It all takes some getting used to, for
My
sure.
headphones were so loud, you guys, when I first put them on. I wrote in all caps on my computer, my headphones are so loud, and upped the font and just showed Terry, and I'm like, my ears like bleeding. I'm like, ugh.
That's what those little
So we'll
knobs
figure
are
it
for,
out.
to change the
Cool.
headphone volume. So that's
I know, but they're all the way over there.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why you have Tom.
We got it all.
Yeah,
taken
no, I
care of.
figured it out, and I took advantage of him. I was like,
It's all it took.
That's all right.
All right, guys, we're going to close this out, making this one of the shorter ever Smashbox TV podcasts. But there's also a good chance that over the next couple of nights, I may go live on the Disc Golf Guy channel just to give you guys some updates. Maybe I'll stick around here, and if we can get some guests in here each night.
I'm busy, sorry.
Oh, let me check my calendar. If we can, if I can line up a guest room, maybe I'll just blather on, and who knows. But so look for that. That might happen on my channel. But either way, of course, like Johnny said, we hope you're tuning in Disc Golf Network for the next couple of days as we conclude the Dynamic Disc Open. I want to thank Hannah, not only joining us, but more importantly, letting us use her computer so that we can go live tonight
You're
and make
welcome.
it all happen. Also, thank Paul for all his additional insight as well. Thank you to all of our super chatters. We're going to add up all the numbers here that Johnny V has put together. Rob Bolin from out in Utah had also chipped in recently. So thank you to all of you. As we said, of course, we'll immediately get that donated over on the GoFundMe. You guys have been great. I think that's it for Johnny V, along with Hannah McBeth, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been podcast number 347. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in and for joining us tonight. And we'll see you for the live broadcast tomorrow. You can step inside
Wait,
the Smashbox.
can we just do one thing? I know we're not going to have one, but can I just sing the after show intro with you guys? Because I do it every week.
All right.
And I just want to do it live in
The
person.
Garners were asking for it. So
Okay, hold on.
Treat.
Are you ready? 3?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome everyone to Smashbox TV's podcast 347's
After show. Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.